Ratings for award shows this season dropped dramatically. And when I say dramatically, the Grammys were down more than 50% and the Oscars by almost 60%. There are lots of theories as to why, but it may be just a perfect storm of many reasons. While there was no formal red carpet this year, the gorgeous Oscar gowns and one-of-a-kind tuxes were on parade like old times. And there were some amusing little bits. But even so, the viewers just weren't there. COVID kept people away from theaters, and the nation as a whole has been fixated on racial injustice.
Now, I know that a lot of you people at home want to reach for your remote when you feel like Hollywood is preaching to you.
But societal messages at award ceremonies are nothing new.
Black people will not ride the caboose of society, and we will not bring up the rear anymore.
Eddie Murphy's call out to Hollywood or Marlon Brando's Native American stand-in didn't drive viewers away. There's something more at play these days.
Culture itself is becoming more diffuse. We don't all listen to the same music. We don't all watch the same shows. At the same time, a lot of people are leaving linear television and going over to streaming services.
As a result, New York Times columnist Ben Smith says the new paradigm is not famous people, but rather people who are famous to you.
Julia Roberts.
And I might throw in one last reason the Oscars in particular didn't do well this year.
And the Oscar goes to Nomadland.
Movies like Nomadland and The Father were dreary and depressing. Whatever happened to good old-fashioned escapism? I'll take Godzilla versus Kong any day. You know, Alberto, we thought about this, and I thought, there's actually a really interesting discussion here. For one thing, we work in a very self-congratulatory medium. Newspaper, journalism in general, the movies, television, loves to congratulate itself. People are tired of it. But then I thought, well, maybe something like the NFL draft will do really well last night because that'll be a communal, water cooler event. Not at all. People turned it off. So I think, people are into their own niche, as Dylan Byers said, and it's like they're streaming, they're doing other things, and this is just not an event they care about anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch it. So, yeah, it's all of the above, to be honest. As I was looking, I was going to be the first one to talk about this. Your piece there took away all my points because I happen to agree with all of them, right? It's just what level, right? It talked a little bit about the Oscars in the past being a platform for social justice and so forth. But I think back then it would have more of an impact when, it would really surprise you because it maybe be the only time that it was, right? Yeah. Now it's almost the norm, right? Mm-hmm. She started off the Academy with that. And look, it's not just the Academy, it's the commercials around it, it's everything around it. So I think as a society, we've just gotten tired of all this. Yesterday I was talking to a friend of mine. He's actually not political, but he's a sports guy. And he's like, I'm just tired of the politics in my sports, in the NBA, in the MLB. And he's not a conservative. He just does it. He just wants to escape for a little while. And I think, obviously, with the academies and all these shows, it's the same thing. But I also think that, I'm not going to the movies as I used to. Right. I've got all these, Netflix. And, I watch stuff from different languages. So, like I have my probably list of Netflix is probably all of Emily Rooney's, but then a whole other stuff that she can't watch.
I'm sure. Yours are more interesting.
So I think that the escapism, I think the escapism thing is a really important point. There's a lot going on in this world. I mean, there's a lot of depressing, horrible things. There's a lot, the pandemic, the impact that's had on our lives and on our psyches. But when you want to escape, you tend to want to be able to put yourself into a different situation. That's why fantasy, that's why Godzilla is so much fun. That's why I love superhero movies and I'm a total Marvel fangirl. I don't identify with really, really rich people wearing really fancy dresses to congratulate themselves over work they got paid millions of dollars to do that I didn't see. So I think that there are a lot of people who, yes, they want to watch the movies they want to watch. They like the celebrities who they like, but they can't put themselves into this position. No red carpet, so you don't get to fantasize about dresses as much. But I just don't see this kind of escapism really resonating anymore because our world is so different right now.
Well, I think that your guest had it exactly right. I don't know whether this is so much about the lack of escapism as it is about the fracturing of the culture. If you go back to the heyday of the Oscars, just about everybody would have seen the 5 finalists, and they would have been very interested in seeing which of those 5 finalists would win the award. Now, as everybody else has said, everybody's in their own niche, and they're not really paying attention to a whole lot else. So the Oscars roll around, and they look at the movies and say, gee, I think I've heard of 2 of them. Maybe I saw one. And so the interest isn't there. I've never been a big fan of the Oscars, but I always watch the Grammys. I'd like to see the performers. I haven't watched the Grammys in years either, and it's for the same reason. We're all out there in our own niche, and we don't really care about anything that we're not paying attention to.
I agree. You know, I'm a curmudgeon. I don't like award shows. I don't watch them. I find the people self-absorbed. I was bored the other night, so I watched this Oscars, or at least 45 minutes. It was probably 44 minutes too long. I just didn't find it fun or relevant. And I think you're all right. I think that movies are just now no longer a unifying cultural event anymore. We don't see the movies, and particularly young people, I noticed, did not watch these Oscars. And I think in large part it's because the movies they go to, you mentioned, you know, the superhero movies or the big, they don't get nominated for Oscars. So like, why watch the Oscars? The popular movies aren't part of the Oscars. So I think if the Oscars want to do better, they have to find a way to get those movies somehow involved in it. And, you know, who knows? This may be the beginning of the end of the Oscars, but I'll give them a pass because of COVID and, you know, see what the future holds and what they can figure out.
You know, Alberto, that one other point that the columnist for the New York Times made, Ben Smith, about fame, I thought was really interesting, that we all used to know what we thought were the famous people in Hollywood, TV stars, and now he says the paradigm is people that are famous to you. And I thought, what a great way of putting it, because my daughter, for instance, follows people on TikTok and other social media sites I've never heard of, but they're apparently really, really famous. You know, and people that we remember from the big time movies, you know, Cary Grant or Rock Hudson or Doris Day. I mean, they have no idea who those people are. And now they have a cadre of people that are famous to them. YouTubers.
That's one of them, right?
I don't know.
You're right. My daughter's the same as yours, and she'll tell me, Dad, this YouTuber's got more followers than NBC News.
Yeah. All right. Well, tell me who that is again. No, never mind.